I was on the A train with my son Justin, traveling from Brooklyn to Manhattan while I was on vacation in New York. And on the train, all of a sudden, in the middle of my conversation with Justin, I noticed some commotion taking place. I couldn't figure out what it was, but it felt like everyone on the train was responding to the same thing. And I was immersed in my conversation, so I didn't pay it too much heed. A little bit later during the ride, I all of a sudden smelled something. And it was a penetrating scent that was very overpowering. And so I looked up trying to locate that and couldn't locate it, so stayed in my conversation with my son. But then I happened to look up and catch this woman who looked unsettled. I don't know if she was perhaps on drugs or perhaps had some kind of a mental problem, but I could tell that that's who people were responding to. And she happened to pass by my son and I, and that's when I realized it had to be her, because when she passed by, I picked up on the scent. And when I picked up on the scent, I realized then that it would have been hard for me to sit down next to the woman because it was that overpowering. Then I noticed a family of four sitting right across from me. It looked like it was a mom and dad and two children. And the boy was sitting on the woman's lap, and they were whispering, laughing, chuckling at the woman who appeared to have the problem. And I watched them and started struggling with what I was seeing. And then I noticed that she was trying to pull me in to join her in laughing at this woman and mocking her. She looked at me as if, isn't this funny? And it wasn't funny to me. So I looked at Justin to see if he understood what was happening, and he was picking up on it too. So I made sure he understood that under no circumstance can we lose our way and find anything amusing, because we could be conveying what people are looking for, some buy-in to this woman's plight. And then all of a sudden, this rage started building up in me. This rage that I can't even explain. And I knew that I had to say something to this woman, to the people on the train, because this was unacceptable. So not wanting to be that person, I found my voice, and I said, "Excuse me, miss, do you speak English?" And the woman with a smile on her face said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, then I think it's important for you to know that this woman that it seems everybody is discussing is obviously struggling with something. There's something going on with her. And I don't think there's anything funny about the situation she might be in. Even more, I think that if she had the choice of having a different reality, she'd have that different reality, and we would have nothing to be looking at." I said, "So I think it's a shame that anybody is mocking her." So the woman looked at the situation, looked at what I heard what I had to say, and she was ashamed. You could see it. The other people on the train got caught up in the emotion too. But what dominated me at that moment was I just don't understand how anybody could be laughing at somebody struggling through their life. So later, I get back to my hotel room and I share some of this with my students. And my students, very empathetic, are moved by it, but I completely lose it. I was surprised at the level of emotion I still carried with me in sharing the story with them. On my train ride back home, I started trying to write this story down. And I got overwhelmed with the deluge of emotion, because I still struggled with how anybody could do that to that woman, could find her situation funny or amusing or anything. That woman is a sentient human being. She's somebody's mother, daughter, sister, lover, friend. There was nothing funny about her plight, and the fact that we as humans can find something funny about that, it's disheartening. I don't know where that comes from, and I don't know how that can happen with us. I don't. And the social justice work that I do, the social justice work that we do, it's got to be about defending people like that who need allies. Because if we don't find the empathy, the consideration to understand that that could be my mother or my daughter, your mother or your daughter, we gotta affect a change. And you know, when I wrote that story, when I'm telling it now, I have to ask myself, to ask you, to ask my audience, what would you do in the same situation? Would you actually laugh at somebody who's struggling like that? Or would you find the energy? Would you care enough to step into a leadership moment to make a difference? Because that's how we change the world. There's no reason why someone should be going through the moment that this woman just went through for somebody else's amusement. We have got to find some way to change the game.